Discover is far better than Capital One, and it's not even close. Choosing Capital One early in your credit card journey can cause a world of pain as you build credit and find out Capital One couldn't care less about your relationship with them. They just continue to hit you with low limits and fake excuses. That's exactly why going with Discover is a game changer for most people to avoid wasting years of fighting a broken system that treats you like you've done nothing for them and repeatedly insults you with unusable credit limits. I'll show you how you can increase your limit with Discover in as little as 4 months, while Capital One makes you wait over 8 years in some cases, how Discover only pulls from one credit bureau 100% of the time, while Capital One hard pulls all 3 no matter what. The only 2 situations where Capital One beats Discover, and why even though Capital One is trying to buy Discover, it will take years before you see any changes to Capital One or Discover cards. So Discover's approach to credit limit increases is like getting high fives just for using your card, because people using Discover cards flat out have an easier time of getting their credit limits increased. It's like they're giving you a pat on the back saying, "We see you doing great. Keep it up," and it's a real boost to your confidence. And Discover has proven that they will increase your limit within 4 months of getting approved for a card, and some people even get increases back-to-back months. I've seen many cases of an average person achieving limits above $20,000. So here's what one person said. They said, "I recently paid off a balance transfer I had on my Discover card in January. Each consecutive month, I applied for a credit limit increase and got $2,000 instantly each time, and the third being today. I went from a $4,800 limit all the way up to a $9,800 limit." And another person said, "I opened my Discover card in mid-June with a $4,000 limit and just got notified today in November that they bumped me up to $6,500. I'm not sure how common this is. It's probably the fastest I've gotten a credit limit increase. My Citi Custom Cash card and Amazon Prime Visa card both got automatic credit limit increases at the 6-month mark. I've had a high utilization between 90% and 99% for about 3 months due to paying off my insurance premium, so I'm sure that helped. And I gotta tell you, beyond that, higher credit limits help you massively in 5 ways. 1, it boosts your credit score. When your credit limit goes up, your utilization rate goes down, which is one of the fastest ways to increase your credit score. Then number 2, more spending power. A higher credit limit means more room in your financial closet for things like bigger ticket items or unexpected expenses. Then 3, it opens the doors to higher limits on other personal cards. It's like setting a trend. One card gets a boost and suddenly all the others want to join the party. Then 4, it leads to higher limits on your business cards. Just like on the personal cards, when business lenders see you already have experience handling high limits and other lenders already trust you, then it's like a cosign. And then number 5, it helps you boost other people's credit scores. It's called credit card piggybacking. Your high limit can be a helping hand to a loved one's credit score when you add them as an authorized user. But unfortunately, Capital One lures people in by quickly approving them and then becoming their first credit card. What they don't know is Capital One likes to bucket their customers into low credit limit groups and completely block any chance of getting an increase for years sometimes. Most of the time, people see very small, borderline insulting increases of between $100 and $500 for the first couple of years. Then some can escape their bucket randomly after 5 to 10 years. This is what one person said dealing with Capital One. They said, "My first card ever 16 years ago or so was a Capital One Platinum card. Currently has a $750 credit limit. Never used it for much or gave it much thought, but want to keep it open as it's my oldest card by far, and I assume this is a bucketed card. However, I got the Saver One recently with a $10,000 credit limit. I have maybe $26,000 in limits with Chase, maybe $5,000 with USAA Amex." And another person said, "It's Capital One. I've been with them for years and make over $200,000 and still only have a $1,000 limit." And another Capital One customer said, "Been with Capital One for 8 years. And yes, my credit limit with Capital One is $1,000 and it's insane." You know, if we're talking about growing your credit limit fast, establishing a banking relationship with a credit union is probably the fastest way to increase your credit limit. A lot of credit cards max out around $25,000, and some credit unions max out at $50,000 like Patelco, which anybody can join nationwide. And the thing is, credit unions are more likely to give you higher starting credit limits and higher credit limit increases. Sometimes It takes 1 or 2 increases to reach that max limit, just like this person who is a member of PenFed Credit Union, which is also available nationwide. They said, requested a general credit limit increases via the link, nothing saying pre-approved, and it gave me a watch out for an email requesting more info alert at first. But then about an hour later, it said approved via email and the application was updated. $5,000 all the way up to $12,500. So that's a $7,500 credit limit increase. And another customer said, now how about this? A few minutes ago, I just logged into my PenFed Power Cash Visa Signature Card account just for the heck of it. Had this card for about 4 months now, and it's my main go-to card for everything with a limit of $10,000 and a running balance of $3,800 right now. I went to the applications portal and saw that there was a request line increase link, which I had not seen before, and decided to shoot for it. And after about a minute or so, it came back with a congratulations message. It said my new credit line was $17,500. And another member said, I just got by far the largest credit limit increase I've ever received. I had an offer for an additional card, which I don't really need, so I requested that pre-approved $35,000 amount got added to my existing Power Cash Rewards card, which had a $15,000 limit. And I can't believe it. My new limit is $50,000. Now, these data points are amazing, and I believe everyone should have at least one account with a credit union to diversify who they bank with. So I created a master list of over 150 credit unions that anyone can join nationwide, no matter where you live. I even give details about what you need to do to join, and so just hit the link below to get instant access to that list. Now, back to Discover. They're really good at giving you a promise and delivering on that promise. They clearly state on their website that you can graduate from their Discover It Secure card all the way up to their standard Discover It Unsecure card in just 6 months. This is like having a short-term goal that's achievable, giving you a clear target to work towards. It's really motivating knowing that in just half a year, you could be stepping into your next level of credit. So I found a Discover member that said, I just got my security deposit back from the Discover It Secure card after 7 months of on-time payments. And another person said, I woke up this morning and one of the first things I did was check my Discover app. While in the app, to make a payment, I noticed $2,000 credit limit, normally $200. This is crazy because they recently sent me an email that they would consider graduating me at 8 months. I have no clue if that's months of being open or statements. Pretty sure it's months because I only just hit my 7th statement on the 25th. And if that wasn't enough, another Discover customer said, open secured Discover It card with a $200 credit limit. Right on the 7-month mark, they graduated me to a $2,000 credit limit. I'm so happy. And another person said, I just received an email from Discover telling me that my credit limit increased from $500 to $1,800. They are returning my security deposit, which is $500, via check. My secure card graduated after the 7th billing cycle with no missed payments. Don't forget, when you graduate to an unsecured card, you often get a higher credit limit too. Higher limits are not just a sign that you've improved your credit worthiness, they also work wonders for your credit utilization rate. Now remember, lower utilization, which is how much credit you use versus how much you have available, is a key factor in maintaining good credit scores. So more credit available thanks to higher limits and responsible spending habits means a healthier utilization rate. It's like having a bigger tank for your car, but still using less fuel. And I haven't heard anybody talking about this, but Discover It Secure cards come with an unlimited cashback match in the first year. That's a legit sign-up bonus. Capital One, on the other hand, literally takes years to graduate their Secure Quicksilver card for most people. And to back that up, a Capital One customer said, whatever algorithm Capital One uses remains a complete mystery to me. I barely use the card and through sheer dumb luck, somehow triggered the evaluation via swings in my utilization on my other card and waited 32 months. Another poor Capital One customer said, I opened one without doing my research. It's been 2 years of use and on-time payments with still nothing. Now, with Capital One's longer time frame to graduate from a secure card, you're hanging on to a lower credit limit for a lot longer than necessary. This is so frustrating, especially if you're trying to show that you're good at handling more credit. Remember how it felt to wait forever to grow up? That's kind of what it's like with building credit on a secure card for up to 3 years with Capital One. You're ready to take on more, show off your responsible credit habits, but you're in a holding pattern with Capital One. And during all that time with them, they leave you with no reason. So you're missing out on opportunities to earn better cash back earning rates, to put some money back in your pocket too. This is why Discover is always a better choice for anyone trying to build or rebuild their credit. Moving on, let's talk about hard credit pulls. Now, thankfully, Discover works like most banks and only hard pulls one credit bureau. I've heard different stories from banks about how they determine what bureau to pull from. Some say it's determined by what region of the country you're in. Others say they rotate between bureaus at random. I recently spoke to a bank rep from another company who told me they soft pull all three, then hard pull the credit bureau with the highest score. Now, all of these could be true, but one thing's for certain. Out of the 7 Discover approvals I reviewed from within the last year, 100% were pulled from Experian. And just to back that up, they said, finally back with Discover, I got approved for the Discover It card. Starting limit was $14,000. They pulled Experian, 734 score. Back in 2016, I hit a rough patch in life and burned Discover for $22,000. I did not pay it back, but they did send a 1099-C form in 2018 to an old address. I only found out about it around 2021 when the IRS came to collect payment. I used the Discover pre-approval site first to see if I had an offer. Another customer said, just applied for my second Discover It 5% cashback card and was approved with an $8,000 starting limit. Discover pulled Experian with a drop of 3 points for the hard pull. Now, Capital One is the opposite. They're the only credit card company that hard pulls all 3 credit bureaus. Each of these inquiries will ding your credit score by a few points, typically 3 to 10 points. So when it's 3 instead of 1, the impact is multiplied. One person said about Capital One that they will attempt to hard pull all 3 bureaus when you apply. If one of your reports is frozen, there are reports of an application still being approved with just a hard pull on 2 bureaus, so you may be fine there. Worst case is you get a denial for failure to access credit bureau reports and then make the decision if you want to thaw out one of those credit bureau reports and proceed. Now, imagine if you're applying for a few credit cards around the same time and each credit card issuer is making their own inquiries. If Capital One's 3 bureau pull is part of the mix, your credit report shows even more hard inquiries. Other lenders might see this as a red flag, thinking, wow, this person's really on a credit app spree. Since most large banks are inquiry sensitive, they will be very hesitant to approve you for new applications. So every bank has different criteria for approving credit card applications, and we've learned from previous leaks and interviews that these banks use a combo of your FICO score, credit report, and their internal scoring system to judge your applications. But one common factor is the number of recent hard inquiries on your credit report. If you got too many, especially within a short time frame, banks worry that you're overextending yourself financially, which should make you a high risk to be avoided. Every hard inquiry stays on your credit report for up to 2 years, though the impact on your score lessens over time. However, if you've got multiple inquiries from different bureaus stacking up on top of each other, it could take longer for your score to bounce back. Even the FICO scoring company will tell you that any hard pull over a year old is not calculated into your score. But guess who still counts it? Yeah, the banks do. Anything banks see on your credit report will be considered and included in those hard credit pulls. You know, hard inquiries are so dangerous, not because they drop your score by a few points. That's easy to manage. It's because a lot of banks are what we call inquiry sensitive. When they see more than a few hard inquiries in the past 6, 12, and 24 months, they get spooked. A lot of them have hard cutoffs for how many hard pulls they'll allow you to have in your credit report to approve you. It's good to avoid a hard credit pull whenever possible. That's why I created this credit card pre-approval master list with over 60 cards that show you every card you can get pre-approved for without a hard credit pull. 10 of those cards will show you your starting limit before approval, and I just created a new section that shows you every business card you can get fully approved for without a hard pull whatsoever. And I even added a new credit card just like 2 or 3 days ago that nobody really talks about that will pre-approve you as well with just a soft credit pull. So definitely hit the link below to download that list and get access to it. So a person with a FICO score in the low to mid 600s can qualify for the Discover It card with an unlimited dollar for dollar match of all the cash back that they've earned at the end of your first year. And that's automatically. Plus you get a 0% intro APR for 15 months on purchases. This is really nice because typically intro bonuses are only for people with good to excellent credit, like 700 and above. Now, when you look at the same fair credit version of the Capital One Quicksilver card, you'll see it comes with 0 sign-up bonuses. Out of the 5 versions of the Quicksilver card, only the one highest level version for people with excellent credit, that means 740 and above, get that sign-up bonus. That means you need to improve your credit score by 100 plus points to get the same sort of treatment as people who have a Discover card. And I can't forget, Discover has an amazing award-winning level of customer service that almost beats Amex most years. Just last year, Discover tied for second place right behind Amex in the J.D. Power Customer Satisfaction Survey, and back in 2019, Discover took the top spot. Here's what one person said about Discover. It said Discover stands out because they have 24/7 USA, Utah, and Arizona-based customer service with minimal to zero hold times in my experience. When you talk to Discover, you're speaking with someone that understands exactly what you mean, and you can understand them. For this reason alone, I'd highly recommend Discover. They don't bounce you all around the world, keeping you on hold. Instead, you're treated with dignity and professionalism. Another Discover customer said, Discover support is phenomenal. I thought it was a fluke when I called and spoke to someone in less than 5 minutes, but it turns out it's pretty common. But here's the thing. When it comes to Capital One, they never rank as high as Discover in the national surveys, and their customers are constantly sounding off with new complaints for many different reasons. One person said, I called Capital One about a fraud issue about a week ago. There were chickens clucking in the background. Guys, I couldn't stop laughing when I read this. There were chickens clucking in the background of the call. They also couldn't understand me saying this is fraud. Poorly trained is an understatement. Another Capital One customer said, Capital One has the worst customer service of any major corporation I've dealt with. Once their customer service rep signed me up for a wrong card, I called and asked them to listen to my conversation with him where I not only said the card name, but even confirmed if I'll get specific benefits that are for that specific card. Now, a few days later, they confirmed that I did ask for one and got another. Instead of product changing me, however, they offered to cancel my card and said I can't reapply for another due to the 1 card in 6 months rule. And we're just gonna pile it on. Another person said, I've been a customer with them for years, and almost every time I've had an issue with my card, they've been no help. I just got a lot of sorry that happened to you, but we can't help. Their agents are embarrassingly poorly trained, and many of them aren't good listeners. They'll pretend to empathize, but you can tell they're sort of dim. There's often been times the agent I was speaking to made my issue worse, said one thing and did another, and I was left to clean up the mess myself. Sometimes I'll talk to 2 to 3 agents on the same issue and get 3 different answers. Capital One customer service will do everything to push the blame onto the customer and not take responsibility. And let's keep this ball rolling. To go along with excellent customer service, Discover drops retention offers like candy. Unlike other credit card companies that would tell you to hit the door if you call in and threaten to cancel, just about anybody can call Discover and get an offer that they like. Here's an offer that one person got. They said, ask the Discover customer service rep for a retention offer, and they graciously gave me an additional 3% across the board, up to $1,500 to spend over 6 months. That means 4% on all purchases, 8% on the rotating categories too. Another person said, I have had a 0 balance on my Discover card for several months. I stopped using it about the same time that my 0% APR expired and the APR went to 25%. I just called them up and asked for 0% for another year, and they gave it to me. They said there was no minimum amount I needed to use, no fees, etc. Just gave me no interest for 1 year. Now, moving to Capital One, getting those retention offers is far more rare and likely requires multiple calls to customer service. One person said, my Venture card's annual fee kicks in at the end of the month. I've called twice now and just gotten the you can always downgrade your card message from the reps I spoke to. And another person said, I recently called and was told there was no offers available, but I could go to the website and apply for a no-fee card. So almost every bank uses your FICO score to determine who gets approved, not your Vantage score. Knowing your FICO score is truly the only way to get an accurate sense of what cards you can get. Now, this is so important because your FICO score and Vantage scores can be wildly different. Take me, for example. My TransUnion FICO score is 781 and my TransUnion Vantage score is 814. That's a whopping 33-point difference. That's why some people call it a FICO score because it's not reliable. Discover is one of a short list of banks that offer free access to your TransUnion FICO score, and Capital One is one of the other banks that just show you your Vantage score from TransUnion. So from all my research, I've noticed that there's 2 situations where Capital One actually beats Discover. Number 1 is when you want the Venture X card. I found that it's best if you're early in your credit journey and you already have great credit and you're an authorized user on a few older accounts to help fill out your credit profile a bit. You can likely get approved for the Venture X card with a high limit, even with lower income. And then number 2, you want the Venture X and Savor One bifecta. This is a simple 2-card strategy and it's perfect for maximizing rewards effortlessly. But snagging both requires excellent credit, a small number of revolving accounts, and minimal credit inquiries in the past 2 years, which is going to be a tall order for many of you that are credit card enthusiasts. And if you haven't heard, Capital One recently announced their plans to buy Discover.
Capital One is buying Discover.
If it goes through, it could have big implications for consumers.
Now that's pretty big news, right? But let's not get ahead of ourselves. These things will take time. We're probably looking at around a year before all the regulatory stuff gets sorted out before the deal is sealed. Now, if we look at other financial mergers, we can get a bit of a roadmap. Take Bill, for instance. They're a business payment processor who bought Divvy, a business credit card and expense manager, back in 2021. It was a solid 2 years before they even started to rebrand the Divvy card into the Bill Divvy card. And even now, the way the Divvy card operates hasn't really changed much. Then there's Robinhood, the stock trading app. They bought the X1 card back in 2023, but it wasn't until a year later in 2024 that they announced their Robinhood card, which by the way still hasn't hit the market yet. And the X1 card, it's still ticking along as usual, although they've stopped taking new signups for a few months now. So with Capital One being the 4th largest credit card issuer and Discover not too far behind them, getting this merger to go through regulators might be a bit of a longer road, maybe over a year. And if history tells us anything, it's that changes to the actual credit card products might take another year or two on top of that. So I'm thinking as cardholders, we might not see any real impact for up to 2 to 3 years. I really want to stay optimistic, but I can't help but think about some potential downsides. I mean, what if Discover loses its edge on customer service, or what about getting those higher credit limits? With Capital One bringing in their data models and algorithms, things could get a lot harder for us. I say that because for a lot of people, doing business with Capital One already feels like hitting your head against a brick wall, so I found 7 reasons why you should completely avoid Capital One. Check that out in the next video, and thank you for watching.